فاسألوا أهل الذكر إن كنتم لا تعلمون.
فاسألوا أهل الذكر إن كنتم لا تعلمون.
Now, brothers, sisters, and friends, God makes sense of the origins of the universe. Because we have all asked the same question, why does something exist rather than nothing? How did the universe come to being? In this light, the Quran, the book of the Muslims, points to this type of thinking. As the Quran says, or do they think the heavens and the earth, the whole universe, came out of nothing? Now, typically, atheists have responded by saying that the universe is just eternal and uncaused. For example, Bertrand Russell, the famous atheist on a radio program, he said the universe is just there and that's all. However, brothers, sisters, and friends, if we conclude, or if we scratch the surface on this statement, we will conclude that it is absurd and irrational. Because that would mean that the universe never had a beginning, which would then mean that our history is infinite, that the universe has an infinite history of past events. But I ask you the question, can this really be the case? Can we have an infinite history? The answer is no, because the infinite does not exist in the real world. Take the following examples into consideration. Example number one. Say we have an infinite number of Dr. Ed Buckners in the room, okay? Whether we like that or not, okay? Say we take 2 Dr. Ed Buckners away, how many Dr. Ed Buckners do we have left? Infinite, as Dr. Ed Buckner has just said. But logically, it's infinity minus 2. And if it's infinity minus 2, it's less than infinity. And if it's less than infinity, we should be able to count how many Dr. Ed Buckners are in the room. But we can't. It just exists in the mathematical realm of discussion, of discourse. Example number 2. Now, say we have 100 Dr. Ed Buckners in the room, and at every possible moment, I add another Dr. Ed Buckner. 101, 102, 1001, 1002, 1,000,001, 1,000,002. Will I ever reach a number that we can describe as infinite? No, because at every possible moment, I can add another Dr. Ed Buckner. So, in this light, the mathematicians Kasman and Newman, they said the infinite certainly does not exist in the same sense as we say there are fish in the sea. And significantly, brothers, sisters, and friends, the famous German mathematician David Hilbert, he said the infinite is nowhere to be found in reality. It neither exists in nature nor provides a legitimate basis for rational thought. The role that remains for the infinite to play is solely that of an idea. But brothers, sisters, and friends, past events are real. They're not just ideas. Therefore, the number of past events cannot be infinite. Therefore, there was a beginning to the universe, and it logically follows there was a cause to the universe. This is why leading cosmologists and philosophers of science such as Ellis, Kirchner, and Stoger, they ask and they answer in the following way. They said, can there be an infinite set of really existing universes? We suggest that on the basis of well-known philosophical arguments, the answer is no. Now, this may sound like philosophical mumbo-jumbo. Let's talk about science, okay? What does astrophysical evidence have to say? What does science have to say about this? Now, I would argue that this conclusion is also supported by physics. As you know, you've heard of the Big Bang. Everyone heard of the Big Bang? Hands? Good, and I assure you it's not that thing that happens after too many curries. Okay, according to the Big Bang, physical time and space was created and matter and energy were also created. The 4 prominent scientists, J. Richards, James E. Gunn, David N. Schramm, and Beatrice M. Tinley, they describe the event of the Big Bang as follows. The universe began from a state of infinite density, space and time were created in that event, and so was all matter in the universe. I ask you another question. What does infinite density actually mean? Well, it actually means nothing. This is why Cambridge astronomer Fred Hoyle, he states that the universe at a point in the past was shrunk down to nothing at all. So let's reflect on this. It would actually mean that a proponent of the Big Bang theory or model would require us to believe that something comes from nothing. I ask you another question. Does something come from nothing? No, because out of nothing, nothing comes. This is why even atheist philosophers, such as David Hume, he wrote in a letter, "I never asserted to absurd proposition as that anything might arise without a cause." Similarly, P.J. Zwart, in his publication About Time, said, "If there is anything we find inconceivable, it is that something could arise from nothing." And we even have the eminent physicist, Sir Arthur Eddington, concluding, "The beginning seems to present insuperable difficulties unless we agree to look on it as frankly supernatural." So we can conclude based on mathematical, philosophical, and scientific evidence that there's a cause for the universe. It doesn't mean it's God, doesn't mean it's Jesus, doesn't mean it's Allah, it doesn't mean anything. It just means there's a cause for the universe. So we ask another question, what is the nature of this cause? And the nature of this cause, upon conceptual analysis, which means critical thinking about this cause, we come to some startling conclusions. This cause must be one. The reason for this is because if we use the philosophical principle Occam's razor, which posits that we do not multiply entities beyond necessity, then we conclude it must be one. This cause must be uncaused, as we have already discussed the absurdity of an infinite regress of events, similarly with causes. This cause must be immaterial, because it created the sum of all matter, which is the universe itself. Significantly, brothers, sisters, and friends, this cause must be personal. The reason I'm saying this is how else can an eternal cause bring into an existence a finite effect, the universe that had a beginning in time? It must have chosen the universe to come into existence, and choice indicates a will, and a will indicates a personality. So, we have concluded the traditional view on God, that a transcendental, immaterial, uncaused, eternal being exists. Let me summarize the argument for you. 1, whatever begins to exist has a cause. 2, the universe began to exist. 3, therefore the universe has a cause.
سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين.